Awesome. So it's 11 o'clock now, and I'm very excited to get started. As people get into the webinar, typically like to do is understand where people are joining from. So if you don't mind just dropping in the chat what city you're at or what country you're at, we would love to meet everybody that's attending while we let people have a couple minutes to join in. Awesome. So we have Duria, Pennsylvania, it looks like. Silowix Falls, South Dakota. Cape Town, welcome, Tom. Got Houston, Texas. It's been a bit since I've been there. I used to go to Freeport, Texas all the time to work at Dow Chemical. Oh, we got Dallas, Texas as well, and Johannesburg. I like to see the presence from South Africa. Awesome. So I'll give people a few more seconds to join, and then we'll start today's presentation. And there is an echo on your line. Is anybody else having an issue with an echo before we get started?
I can hear you well, Jonathan. I don't. Okay.
Okay. So it seems as though we might have an echo. Looks like Lilia just dropped off. Okay, no echo from there. So if everybody notices an echo as we continue on, please let us know and we can troubleshoot. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and get started. So for today's presentations, we have two presenters. We have Mauricio on the call. Mauricio is the founder of Logica OPS and a strategic Streamline partner. He has over 30 years of experience in leadership, operations, and digital transportation. In addition, Mauricio has completed many implementations with Streamline that have a strong focus on providing automation and a return on investment. Additionally, of course, I'm joining the call. So my name is Jonathan Abernathy. I lead sales in North America. I'm an engineer by degree, but I've been in supply chain for over 6 years now, helping people forecast demand and plan inventory. So we're really excited that you've joined our presentation today. And in this presentation, we will be first covering the AI paradox, understanding why so many people are interested in AI, and then some of the challenges associated with that. Going off of that, we'll discuss the three types of AI adopters, and then the vision gap that drives those different types of adoption, how an executive champion can really change the adoption within an organization by pushing it through, the success formula whenever you combine all of these components, a little bit about Streamline in our company profile, and then we'll open it up so that everybody has some times for questions and answers. But first, we will start with the AI paradox. And so, Mauricio, if you don't mind just spending a little time describing this to us.
Okay. Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for having me today. Uh, Thanks, everybody, for joining. I like this slide because this is what we have seen after many implementations of AI-based platforms, right? So look at these numbers. This is a very recent numbers. So from the last 2 or 3 years, companies are heavily investing in AI platforms. I'm not talking about, when you're talking about AI today, we're not talking about cloud or ChatGPT, none of those agents. We are talking about industry-specific AI platforms for inventory optimization, procurement, for demand planning, S&OP AI-based platforms as well, right? So look at how hype this topic is right now. I mean, the companies they all realize that without AI, they will lose competitiveness, they'll be falling behind the competitors, and they might not survive. So 9 in 10 organizations are investing in AI these days. So basically everybody, right? But look at the failure rate is still too high. So less than 4 in 10, so less than 40% of the companies investing in AI can demonstrate enterprise level financial impact. Can demonstrate, not even reaching, it's just they're taking something out of that. And only 40% of them can make that claim. And 25%, 1 in 4, only achieve their return of investments objectives. So why is that? This is what we're going to discuss today. We want to share our experiences in real case implementations. This is not a conceptual discussion from academia. This is like real life, honest conversation about AI risks and what can go wrong and how can we make these projects go right. And we call this AI paradox because look at this blue box here. This is a real business case that I work with Streamline. This is a $50 million per year company that in less than 6, 7, 8 months using an AI-based platform, in this case Streamline, we moved $80 million from their inventory back to their cash flow. So that's a big working capital optimization. Imagine that you're managing a $50 million company and out of the blue, in a couple of months, you just have $80 million of free cash flow to reinvest in product development, in marketing campaigns, and that is sustainable because that company, it grew almost 20% in that period of time, and now it's almost 3 times bigger. I most definitely I want to think that having $80 million in free cash flow helped them to be more aggressive in their growth. So this is the paradox. I mean, when you go to a successful AI implementation, the numbers are massive. And I have a financial background. I'm not so much of a tech person. So my financial background screams at me that we should deliver more sales or cut costs, working capital optimization. This should be the mandate for supply chain AI implementations, not reports, not KPIs, not forecast accuracy. We're going to discuss a little bit. It has to be something quantifiable. You need to see the ROI because they're there. I guarantee to you the ROI, obscenely high ROIs will be there, but you need to understand where you are and what you want to do. That's why we call this the AI paradox. Think about it. 25% only are achieving their ROIs. But when you move that to the reality of successful implementations, the numbers are like the one we are showing this slide here, $80 million. And this is just one. We're going to talk a little other big numbers during this webinar as well.
Yeah, thank you, Mauricio. And so looking at that AI paradox, I understand that you've kind of categorized it into 3 different sections of customers. So the first one that we want to look at is Spreadsheet Survivors. So can you tell us a little bit about Spreadsheet Survivors?
Yeah, we thought it would be interesting for everybody to understand these 3 types and try to see if you can actually fit yourself or your organization in one of those 3 types of AI adopters, right? I mean, corporations are not different than humans. We have different personalities. Companies have different cultures. So a company can be more conservative, more aggressive, could be more traditional, could be more risk taken. Like us, we can be more introvert, more extrovert. We can be more conservative in our finances, more aggressive on our finances. The same thing. And because we are humans, organizations, they still have different leadership styles inside their cultures. So we try to organize this because by this profile of AI adopters to help you to understand where you are. And that what I call like in a methodology is just see. You have to see where you are. It's like you go to a therapist. You need to understand your problems first to discuss them before getting some results out of it. So that's where we organize these types. And this first one is what we call the Spreadsheet Survivors. Basically, their company, they implement AI, they try to implement AI, but they are not able to change the internal cultures. So you still have people addicted to the spreadsheets or other basic systems, and they use AI primarily as a reporting tool. Okay. Now, of course, this is very frustrating for all of us, for us that are trying to change that culture, but also for the company because they invest a ton of money, a ton of time, a lot of resources, and they're not getting the ROI. Okay, why? Because AI adoption is more a cultural change, a cultural mindset, rather than a technology project. You cannot be successful implementing artificial intelligence in industry-based artificial intelligence by not considering the human factor in your organization, how your company are going to use it. So you need to see that, right? Now, we saw a lot of failures on the spreadsheet survivors. Okay, there is ways around, but it's more difficult because usually it's like mid-management level. You try to replace they're not risk takers, and therefore the implementation goes for months and months and months, and you cannot convince them to change their behavior. Now, one big thing about the spreadsheet survivors is not about only the AI project that failed. Now think about it. Bear with me for a second. You are a decision maker of your company. You just took the risk. You convinced your CFO, your CEO, whatever, to adopt a new AI-based platform. And there is a budget associated. You negotiated all of that. You brought people, users to work with, and then you fail. What happened is going to fail. So can you go after, I don't know, 18 months of frustration and no ROI and knock at the CFO or CEO door again and say, oops, let's do it again. Can we do it again? That doesn't happen. It's going to take months, even years before somebody, another decision making will take the risk of sponsoring another AI implementation. Now, everything moves super fast in AI these days, right? If you fail an AI project, chances are you're going to be 2 or 3 years before you actually take another project, AI-based project in your organization. Those 2, 3 years in terms of competitiveness could mean like a decade behind your competitors that were successful because they have a lot of money to invest in product development, marketing that you do not have because all of that money is locked in your inventory, in your working capital, right? Think about it. That's probably the most important message here, probably one of the most important messages of this webinar. If you fail an AI-based platform, you're not only risking that specific topic, you're risking putting your company way behind everybody else in the market. And that could be a survival issue.
Yeah, thank you, Mauricio. And do you have like an example of a spreadsheet survivor that you've worked with and that you were able to help them like observe their behaviors and then begin to change their behaviors?
It, yes, I have failures with Spreadsheet Survivors, but a couple of successes as well. And all the successes follow the same path. You have to convince the decision makers. You need to find a sponsor there to start changing the culture, because you're gonna try and replace the tribal knowledge attached to Spreadsheet Survivors. The could be a basic system, could be a spreadsheet, whatever you're gonna call it. But the companies that very traditional hub-oriented tribal knowledge allocating there. You go with you start replacing things with database, with facts, right? Undeniable facts. But at the same time, you have to try to bring a decision maker and start discussion the company culture and how to move that. So it's way less technical than it sounds. It's way more like a therapist and a cultural change type of project driven. So it's a lot of conversation to negotiate around. If you just go and try to impose uh, a new culture, the AI new company culture on those organizations, you're probably gonna fail. It's not it's not a binary thing. It's that you go start using it. It won't
Yeah,
work. You have to convince people.
that makes a lot of sense. So not only a change management just from a technology standpoint, but also from a people perspective and a cultural perspective in order to drive somebody away from being a spreadsheet survivor.
Yeah, this one is 90% human behavior and 10% technical because you
Gotcha.
have to change their cultures.
Thank you. So next up would be the cautious climbers. So can you kind of describe a cautious climber to us?
Yeah, I like the names we categorize these guys. This is probably 60% of the AI adopters will match this. Let me give you the profile. These are companies with a big number of SKUs, uh, medium to to large size organizations. They they don't want to change everything at once. So they start testing the AI platforms. Let's say they start testing with 2 or 3 product families and say, okay, this one, we're going to just compare notes. We're going to keep a mirror of our existing methodologies and bring the AI and compare notes to see if AI is actually, we can trust it. And others are a little more aggressive and say, okay, and say from these 4 product families, 2 of them, we're going to just follow the AI. 2 of them we want to compare. The other ones we're not touching for a while. Very
Yeah.
fair. Absolutely fair. I have nothing against the cautious climbers, right? But there is a point that perhaps the only tricky point with the cautious climbers is that in many cases, I have seen people comparing AI platforms with the traditional, let's say, forecasting methodologies. And actually, Jonathan, the forecasting itself is a good idea for a webinar because for the traditional forecasting is quickly becoming obsolete. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that companies have to cancel forecasting. It's a different animal right now to deal with because with AI, you have an online real-time forecasting that's going to update everything like Streamline delivers that. Every moment you're making a sale, that your safety stocks recalibrated, your future sales demand are recalibrated. It's not humanly possible to calculate at that speed. So when you try to compare AI tools that combine a series of elements, business drivers, with only forecasting that's basically a guess of what's going to happen in your sales, sometimes they don't match. Sometimes it looks like the AI's performance is worse than your forecasting. It's not because the output is different. When you have a forecast, you're trying to get a forecast accuracy and everything that comes from that number. With AI, what you want is working capital optimization, less stockouts, more sales. See, they're not you're trying to get different results and compare different tools for those results, so they don't match. So you have again to talk about vision, company culture, and explain. Listen, guys, you are looking at a series of outputs. They are not compatible with the platform you got. So that's the threat about this. But again, very fair with the cautious climbers. Honestly, if I have a big company, I mean, it's a whole new world, right, of AI. It's difficult for them to make the jump, right? But
Yep.
again, they can make the jump. They go step by step, and they finally got the adoption. And then the ROIs are monster ones. They're very, very big ones.
Yep, and I've seen that too, where
Mhm.
you implement AI, you have how you've been doing it forever. You want to kind of like slowly dip your toe in the water and then finally get all the way in once you start to realize the impact it's going to have.
Yeah.
So as far as like looking at we keep on talking about culture, but like looking at your cautious climbers versus your spreadsheet survivors, like what would you say are like the couple of key things that really separate these from the people that are really stuck?
I think is how fast they make decisions like I just mentioned to isolate a group of product families, say, let's go all in those product families. Let's go all in that location. It could be a location, it could be a group of products, it could be a sales channel. But if they go all in fast right after during the implementation, then you're gonna taste the business outcomes faster and then can roll out for the whole organization faster. I think that is mindset of say, I don't want to go all in on everything I got,
Hmm.
but I'm gonna go in all in this AI platform for these subsets of products or locations, whatever they want to decide. That makes a huge difference because then they're gonna see undeniable facts. Because AI delivers undeniable business outcomes, undeniable. It's exciting actually to see the numbers. Sometimes if you look at my office here, sometimes I'm cheering for the companies because I can see the sales growing, the inventory drop, and say, "Holy wow, we are getting there." It's very exciting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I
Mhm.
think that segues uh, well into the last category, which is our fast adopters. So can you tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about the fast adopters, those that really implement AI and
Mhm.
then get that wow effect?
Yeah, these are the best ones. Uh, these are the buddy jumpers. Those are the guys that are in the bridge with the buddy jump. They never jumped before. They look around, say, you know what? I got the equipment. I trust the equipment. I'm gonna just jump from this and have fun. Uh, the $80 million is a company is a good example. So why, what do they have and that the other types they don't have? Usually, their company profiles are a little more risk-taken, more innovative, more prone to innovation, but also they have, we're going to talk in a minute about sponsorship and a clear vision. I mean that $80 million working capital optimization came from a business case that I work with Streamline, where it was a good coincidence. The moment we are implementing the system, they have a new director of supply chain, very innovative mind. We have an amazing user. She learned the system super fast. So we combine knowledge of the system, our support, our consulting as well, and an executive with the mandate of change the company. All of that combined in months, they cancel 80%, 70% of their purchase orders within a couple of weeks. So they had 30 weeks of safety stock for everything. And we convinced them to move down to 20 weeks using the AI plus our cultural change. And then to 10 weeks, finally, we reached service level. So
Mhm.
that's what the money came from. I can give you another example. It's a business case for others for other conversation, but just to give you a taste of the numbers here. A company expanding in the USA, and Jonathan, you and I work on that together. Uh, they triple their sales in less than 16 months after they start working in the United States. Big market, right? So they came from one type of revenue $80 million at that point, and at that point they had $40 million in inventory. And they triple the revenues. So I do the math. If they kept the same ratio inventory to revenues, right now they should have over $100 million in inventory, 110 actually. Now with the AI-based platform, now they have less than $30 million in inventory. Look, let me repeat this for you to understand the numbers we are talking about. If they kept the same ratio and grew 3x, over 200, 300%, they should have over $100 million inventory. Now they have 25% less inventory than when they started, and the company kept growing. So
Mhm.
this is the power of AI. This is a fast adopter. Some people that look at say, okay, I wanna really go with this. So the business cases are massive here. But again, it's a combination of cultural change, a strong sponsor with a clear understanding of what they can get from artificial intelligence platforms.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like just talking about those results, I think the numbers are, absolutely crazy. And the fact that you can start to drive that within the first few months, whenever you have a good implementation partner, whenever you have that, cultural shift and that like executive sponsorship, like all those key components that are organized properly.
Yeah, and it's only not only the platform. Is for instance, this business case, I help them with their initial S&OP meetings because the
Hmm.
more players you have, like you bring the finances team, the operations team, the sales and marketing team, you bring all of them together, then you are calibrating the system. So the AI is going to do the job. They have lifting. You just calibrate things from the business driver, promotions, a competitor dumping prices. You want to react to that. So you calibrate business drivers that are not captured by your historical sales for forecasting. And if you do that, that's the sweet spot. That's where you maximize the ROI.
Absolutely. And so you kind of said something interesting there, Mauricio, and I just want to like double back on it. Is the fact that like you helped with their S&OP meetings, not only like were you implementing the system, but you were taking a look at their processes, you were becoming an expert in their business so that you could help drive that ROI. So whenever you're looking
Yeah.
at these projects and trying to help people, how would you say you go about that?
Uh, I learned something my time as a head of IT for a large organization in Latin America. Training users is not implementing a system. And if that was true before the AI, right now is 10 times more true. So you don't train users and expect them to start using a system. You need to understand the process. Well, when we run an AI implementation, the first thing we did, I call this don't touch the keyboard phase. First, we process map that organization. We understand the business drivers. We understand the outcomes. Even before hiring, investing in AI, we can run that exercise. The output is having a fully automated S&OP methodology driven by AI platforms. When you reach that, and to achieve that, think about it, it's a lot of negotiation, right? This cannot be an AI project, an IT project. This cannot be a supply chain project. It has to be a global organizational project because to maximize AI, you need different players. It's a cultural change. So understanding the company culture, understanding the way they work, understanding the outputs is the first thing we do. Even after we just entered the game after the company already hired a AI-based platform like Streamline. That's the first thing we try to do.
Yep.
Is see from, analyze the risk factors first, analyze if they really understand what they want to get. An example for you and for people listening. I was in a meeting, a couple of meetings actually, with a big company, massive amount of inventory, and they wanted a MAPE tool. They want a tool because their executives are demanding a way of improving the MAPE. Honestly, I was glad that we didn't close that deal because they're not ready. They will be a failure. They want a reporting system, not what the MAPE, like the forecast accuracy embedded in the MAPE will deliver to them. The
Mhm.
conversation cannot be a KPI. The conversation has to be what business outcomes we're taking out of this investment.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for that, Mauricio.
Mhm.
So I've been asking you a bunch of questions, but we also want to ask some questions to everybody that's joining today. So we've covered the three types of different AI adopters, but where would your organization fit into these three types? Would you say that you are a fast adopter, a cautious climber, or are you still a spreadsheet survivor? So we'll give everybody just a moment. Please select your answer, and then we would love to see where people are.
I have my own guess on this, but I guess we cannot bet on the results, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, we can't bet on the result. Well, I mean, if you want to bet on the results, then I'd be interested.
Mhm.
Uh, and it looks like almost we
Yeah.
don't have many fast adopters, we don't have many spreadsheet survivors, but it looks like the cautious climbers is kind of
Mhm.
where everybody sees themselves right now. So
Yeah,
thank
I'll
you.
guess that. And we for those of you a little frustrated of where you are, we have a couple of tips that we're gonna cover in the couple minutes of how to change turntables on this. But
Oh,
I'm not surprised. The cautious climber is probably the most common one. I would say 60-70% of the implementations or the experience or even consulting that we provide are for companies thinking about that. And but we do have a pretty good chunk of spreadsheet survivors. But we know some tips to make you from turn you from a cautious climber quickly into a fast adopter. We'll get there.
awesome. Thank you. So next up, we want to talk about kind of the vision gap. So Mauricio, where do you see this vision gap, and like how can we fix this for organizations?
Yeah. I know what it sounds like when we start talking about vision, the sponsor. It sounds like a very conceptual discussion. I guarantee to you, in AI adoption, it's not. It is very practical. This is basically for your organizations or your leaders or people that are making those decisions to understand what's out there in terms of options, AI platforms, and exactly what you want. I mean, look at demand planning, inventory optimization. You can have a little systems, very cheap ones that deliver probably they're a little more than an Excel automation, all the way to massive systems that can cost millions of dollars and take 2-3 years to implement. And we have technology today that can track how fast people ships uh, are being organized in ports. So the AI suggests which port you have to decide. You have to choose to ship your cargo. So this is the kind of technology. The range is so big that people can get lost on that. But forgetting the platforms itself, you need to understand what do you want to change. I mean, my MAPE example remains here. Uh, a couple of key points here. You won't have a successful AI implementation and an AI successful change transformation if you're just trying to replace reports. If you think about playing the same way you're playing right now, operating the same way, is a perhaps a key point here is that uh, uh, an AI platform is not an ERP. I love ERPs. I implement a couple, I use a couple, I hire a couple, I work my whole life with ERPs, so I love them, but they're not AI platform. Think about it. Your accounting system, your ERP, they are just organizing data. They are data organizers, right? They don't make decisions for you. You make the decisions. Now, the big cultural change, and you need a vision, you need somebody, you need to kind of strategize that first, is to understand the AI platform will make decisions for you. The AI platform will tell you how much to order, when, what inventory you can optimize, what your safety stock should be in terms of quantities or dollar amounts. The AI will drive decisions for you. Now, the beautiful part of that is that I have seen human changes completely their professions, the way they work day to day because of this vision, right? But you need somebody actually to drive this vision. Is that you got people, the operational level goes, the AI replace almost everything. But people don't lose their jobs. Like when we talk about no, we are cutting the operational level, people say, okay, I'm gonna lose my job. No, no, no. Your job just becoming way more interesting. You start to move to all the time and effort you're placing in the operational level, modeling data, reports on all of that, the AI takes care of. So you move yourself and your teams to a tactical and operational level, right? Think about it. The AI can give you right now an online real-time ordering plan up to 100 months ahead of time. I have seen customers uh, start signing SLAs with their suppliers, start negotiating prices with better prices with their suppliers just because they become the most predictable and organized customers, right? And now you have going to have the time to discuss that, but you need the vision to understand how far can you go with AI. This is absolutely critical. Without the vision, the chance that you're, first of all, you're going through endless demos, RFPs, and you ended up with a AI as a reporting tool, not a decision engine that's going to save a ton of time for your teams and move everybody to a different degree of knowledge and behavior is very big. I'll say, call it overall planning if you don't want to call it a vision. Call it the way you want it, but you need a big blueprint of what you want out of AI before you make the decision. It doesn't mean that you're not researching the technology. Of course, you have to research technology to see how far you can go. But before you sign the first check, you need to have a blueprint of where you're going to go. Otherwise, this sentence here is nice. If you don't know where you are going, the AI will not get you there.
Yep, absolutely. So the first component is that vision that we've just discussed.
Mm-hmm.
So before selecting an AI solution or, going through an AI evaluation, and this is another question for the group, have your businesses clearly defined the outcomes it wants to achieve? So yes, our company or organization has a clear vision. No, we don't have a clear vision, but we have a general idea, and maybe that vision has not taken a formal like project scope or what have you. Next, maybe we didn't even have a vision, but we've just kind of started evaluating the market. So started looking at technology first, and then last but not least, not sure. So if you could please pick A through D, and then we'll give just a moment for those answers to come in. So, Mauricio, where's your bet on this one? Because you bet on the cautious climbers, and I think that you were pretty accurate. Or maybe we shouldn't bet and we should let people pick before we
Based
advise.
on my experience, the I'll be surprised if everybody has a clear vision because usually people they are still trying to understand this whole new era of AI. But some of them they're a pretty good general idea, or a lot of people start with technology. So let's see.
Awesome.
Oh, there you go.
So it looks like we have some clear visions and a general idea. So I think that
There
that's
you go.
definitely the best way to go about this, right? Because if you start just looking at a bunch of different softwares, then as Mauricio said, you're going to kind of get lost along your way. So really happy to see that people are in those first two categories.
Yeah, that's encouraging for sure. You guys are on the right track here.
Awesome. So the next component we want to talk about as we start this AI journey is an executive champion. So Mauricio, can you kind of describe what this looks like in an organization?
It's actually a combination of things, right? You need somebody with the power of changing internal culture to maximize the AI. I'm not talking a project leader, a portfolio manager. I'm talking really a C-level person that understand what the company needs, understand the market, understand how AI is changing competition and making their competitors way more effective. That people is necessary. I know it sounds a little bit by the book here. There are probably thousands of books that talk about sponsorship, but again, the fact that people talk a lot about things doesn't mean that is not actual. is an extremely up-to-date topic, right? The AI transformation, and you got the points here, is the human component first, the culture, the process, and the decision making, and then you decide where to go with technology. So is very frustrating sometimes that you see the ROI right in front of you, but we are talking about just with the IT department or one department, they cannot actually escalate that ROI and the changes required to maximize that ROI to the higher level of the hierarchy. And on the opposite end, when we have that kind of sponsorship, is a beautiful thing to do. It moves really fast because they're not, these things are not necessarily complex implementation. Of course, depends of your company size, your process complexity, and the platforms you acquire. But usually it moves to have an executive champion move the project. Can cut a project from 18 months, 12 months to 3 to 4 months implementation. And the faster you shrink that implementation, the faster the company see the ROI, and boom, then you're right at the surfing the wave of this new technology and getting the financial outputs you want. So it's very important to have for a company to allocate somebody with the power to drive transformation, because the combination with that blueprint call vision plus the executive championship, it creates. I have seen that nothing that I'm telling you right now is theoretical. I'm not reading from a book here. It's pure, honest, pragmatic results from real life implementations and cultural changes in companies using AI.
Yep. So it's definitely a team effort. And not only do you need somebody, but you need somebody that can drive that change, right? Make sure that it's being enforced and make sure that everybody's kind of moving together, not only from you helping their organization, but also from an internal standpoint.
Yeah. Using
Yep.
my buddy jump analogy, you are in the bridge. Sometimes you need somebody just to push you,
Yep,
and then
absolutely. Just a little push.
this little
Awesome.
push.
So, like we kind of discussed the vision. Now we're talking about the executive champion, and we're starting to put together these pieces to build successful AI adoption. But we want to ask the team one more question. So, whenever we're looking at this executive sponsor or this AI adoption, where does that person fall in your company today? So, is it typically driven by the IT team? Is there a specific department, like your supply chain team or your finance team or what have you, that drives this? Or do y'all have like an executive leader in your organization, maybe like a chief innovation officer that owns the rollout of these pieces? And I'm very interested to see this one because I feel like I talk to sometimes IT people first, sometimes to supply chain or finance people first, and sometimes to like innovation leader first. So I feel like this is a mixed bag from my experience.
Mhm.
Um, Mauricio, do you have a bet?
I'm curious as you are, because
Okay.
this is not about only the implementations we executed, but also the hundreds and hundreds of conversations and proof of concepts, initial conversations with customers. We acquire a lot of real life market knowledge. So I'm very curious to see this distribution here as well,
Awesome.
because like you said, is all over the place. See,
Oh,
there
yeah,
you
there we
go,
go.
there you go.
So we got an even split between the three, with IT being at
Mhm,
slightly less. But I think
mhm,
that's anticipated
mhm.
just based upon where the conversation it starts all over the place. But it
There you
always
go.
has the same end result. Again, heading towards that ROI.
Yeah,
So again, we've talked about some of these different components, but Mauricio, can you describe how these different components make a formula for success?
yeah. I think the key point here, this is not a sequence. This is not from left to right vision that you need to design the vision first, find your sponsorship, internal sponsor, then draft the cultural chain required, and then go after technology. They are complementary. So you can easily, actually, probably I recommend that you navigate the market first, uh, and you start before you draft your vision. You need to know what's out there, what the options are. Again, the landscape of AI platforms these days is so complex, so vast, that you can have the same results with a pretty reasonable investment, or you can have no result after a massive investment on your corporations. So we talk in length about all these topics, but probably I like this chart because they are complementary. There's no one specific sequence. Of course, if you start with an executive sponsorship, you'll get more a pretty good view on the technology available for what you want, and then you can kind of draft your vision. But I will not start an AI transformation project without these components, at least a draft mapping of them. Don't
Mm,
Let's not be perfectionists here, right? Don't spend 18 months trying to identify the tribal knowledge you have to change inside a corporation before making the jump. It's probably too late. Your competitors are already there, right? 1 year in AI is the equivalent to probably 5, 10 years in the normal course of the traditional business that we all grew up to, right? We are used to. So it's moving too fast for you to wait that much. So again, let's not be perfectionists here, but to have at least a draft, to have at least the conversation of who is going to sponsor your project, what outcome you want, and it has to be a business outcome. It cannot be a dashboard. It has to be a business outcome. And you combine that to see, okay, what portion of the company we are changing? What are the tribal knowledge resistance that we are going to face? Because AI create a lot of anxiety in teams because you're reading in the news every day people losing jobs because of AI in certain areas of businesses. In supply chain, I'll say that the amount of complex data points people need for a company to actually operate is too complex for AI to replace everything. I was discussing with a company, they changed their forecast completely because of the weather change because they sell like big retail company, Walmart style. And there's some regions of the country when they have like a heat wave, the ice cream consumption goes up, sales go up to the roof. I mean, it's difficult. This is pure business knowledge. You're not replacing this by AI in a click. However, what you can do with AI right now is massive. You can literally optimize a lot, way more than people think with the existing technology that's available in the market right now. Again, don't be perfectionist. Don't try to make this in a sequence, but recognize the need for that, at least a draft discussion about those 4 points before you actually sign the first check for technology. We can help people like me, Streamline. We have a lot of experience real time. We can help to kind of draft this with you. But I strongly recommend that you fix this chart here that we are showing to you and consider it before you start your AI journey
yeah,
or even
absolutely.
optimize what you already have, right? Sometimes you can reverse engineer those things. You already have the technology, but you don't know what to do. I save a lot of, I'm not implemented projects only, but I work in reversing failures into success by recognizing this and reverse engineering. The technology is already there, but we need to actually start over and start moving backwards and say, okay, we need the sponsorship, we need the behavior change. These are the processes we need to change. So it's reversible as well. If you already invested in AI and you're frustrated with it, there is a light at the end of the tunnel for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I was just kind of thinking like a recent project that we worked on, we were still in the evaluation phase, but it was kind of like, hey, before we again sign that first check, before we start a partnership, let's identify who's doing X, Y, and Z, right? Make sure that everybody's aligned, everybody is voting yes for this journey we're about to go on. So really like getting these 4 points as part of the initial process correct. I think again that's that formula for success that really drives change, that drives that value.
There you go. It's a human project. It sounds like a tech project is a human project. If you recognize that, you'll be successful implementing technology.
Yep, thank you. So next up, I just want to briefly talk about, we've viewed some of the components that drive AI success. We've talked about how those combined into that formula to where you will have the successful adoption. But I do just want to spend a brief amount of time describing Streamline today. So Streamline is an AI platform that is supply chain focused and also has a focus on financial efficiency. So whenever we work with an organization, we solve various operational challenges. The first of all is, of course, shortages in inventory. We want to make sure that companies never miss an order. We want to give you the best-in-class forecast accuracy using machine learning and our AI. We want to, as Mauricio said, that 18 million for an organization that he worked with. We want to return excess inventory back to your cash flow, make sure that's healthy, lower your carrying cost. We want to understand purchasing constraints and make sure that whether you're importing or manufacturing, we can help you give you full visibility and control of your organization. Whenever somebody partners with Streamline, typically what they see as an average result is a reduction in stockouts or shortages by 90 to 98%, a reduction in overstock by 30 to 50%, and then faster planning. Really, we want to stop the spreadsheet surviving. We got to get people onto a fully automated single source of truth that utilizes AI. So I think that 60% is a low range for the automation we provide. Again, you move all that time into more tactical and strategic decisions, and then let AI do all that modeling and that heavy lifting for you. We are well recognized by the people that work with us. So we are the number one platform for modernizing the S&OP process. If you look at this grid over here to the right, then you can see you have your big hitters like Oracle, IBM, and SAP that have very large market presence because they have very large revenues. However, if you're looking at customer satisfaction, then Streamline is far and away the best out of the competition. And because of that, we receive a lot of awards. So you can see leader in the space, most implementable, which is very important, best relationship, which I just think is a testament to the value that Mauricio brings, as well as our customer success team brings. And then we are one of the top 50 supply chain softwares for this year. We have worked with a wide range of organizations, but you can see anywhere from, as an engineering student, I used Arduino a lot. So anywhere from technology manufacturing to gas stations to pharmaceuticals to flowers to renewable energy, basically any use case, we've worked on it and are equipped to serve you. So if you're looking at that AI journey and you're interested in maybe speaking with Streamline and seeing how we utilize AI to optimize your organization, we would love to have that conversation. Yeah, we've made it through it. So we started by talking about the paradox. After that, we've discussed the three types of AI users, how you can kind of get the few components, whether it be the executive sponsor or the vision, combine those into a formula, and then really build that path for success. But Mauricio and I are here, and we would love to answer any questions that anybody on the call has. So please feel free to drop those questions in the chat.
I think we did a good job, Jonathan. Not a lot of questions.
No, not a lot of questions quite yet. And I think you did do a very good job. I think that I just asked a bunch of questions. Um, so maybe I asked them all for the group. We can give it just a moment longer. And then we would, of course, as I mentioned, love to connect with anybody that's joined today. So you probably can see our emails right here. So Mauricio's email is mauriciodezen@logicaops.com. And then, of course, I'm with Streamline and would love to have a conversation. And then, of course, thank you. So really appreciate everybody's time today. And we look forward. Hopefully, you found some value in the challenges with AI, how you can begin to adopt it, and then really appreciate everybody's time in joining.
And thank you, Jonathan, for Streamline to invite me. Really nice to talk about this topic. I'm very passionate about it because, again, have seen the results and they are incredible. So I hope we can help more companies to achieve that level of efficiency through AI.
Okay, awesome. See you all later. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.